Good morning. Welcome to our first live stream here from Eindhoven for 2023. Today, and I'm on purpose talk about we are going to talk about our latest VMS system, or if some of you also know it as BVMS. And I already said it, and we are also extremely excited that you have so many of you registering and also joining us for this live stream. So that also, let's say, raises the bar for us. So we need to really, let's say, do a good job today. But I said so I want to introduce actually to my two co-hosts, which is Machi on the left of me, and also Felipe. Welcome.
Good. Hey, good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
So let's go to the first one to give you a little bit of an insight of what are we going to talk about today. It is of course about BVMS, as I already said. Felipe will start with a short introduction for the ones that maybe are not that familiar for BVMS. Then we will continue with why should you actually consider a BVMS, and that's actually a little bit of a discussion between the two of you. We also want to focus on what we will bring next, because there is a new version coming up. And then we are also going a little bit off track with also our all-in-one solutions, recording, video management, etc., all in one. And then we will conclude with our remote system management. And in between, we'll also have some demos to make it very interesting for you guys. Of course, you know, every single live stream, you maybe already know the drill, because we had quite some of them last year. There are some, let's say, call it house rules. You can always, let's say, ask your questions via the chat, and we are inviting you to do that already during the live stream. Don't wait until the end. You can drop the questions. We can see if we can manage to ask them already in between, and otherwise we will put them at the end. How can you do it? You see in front of you the screen. Next to it, you probably will have the chat box. If you want to watch basically full screen, you can also scan the QR code that you see, and then you can ask the questions via your mobile phone. As said, Q&A will also be at the end, but in the meantime, we will also, in between, try to answer. And if, on the unlikely event, your live stream stops, then try to refresh your browser, because that normally does the trick. Otherwise, drop us a note, and we try to help you. So that's not the fun stuff, so now let's start talking about the real deal. But before I give the word to Felipe, we want to, because we have so many of you that joined this live stream, as we said, we are very happy about it. We would like to understand a little bit, okay, what's the audience that we have in front of you, or in front of us, basically. Did you already, or have you worked with BVMS before? So we would like to ask you to come in action already now, after a couple of minutes in the live stream, to answer the question either yes or no, if you worked with BVMS. And let's see what the results will be, so that also Felipe and Machi have a little bit of the idea, okay, to whom are we actually talking to today? And there you already see first results coming in, guys. And actually, I'm actually pretty pleased with the mix. It's
very mixed.
Yes.
It's nice. Pretty even.
So keep the numbers
mix
going, I would say.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow, looks good.
And that's maybe already, you know, is it surprising to you guys if you already look at the outcome?
Yeah, I think especially like that most of them already are using all projects, so it's really BVMS customers majority, but a good mix, even a lot of customers that never use it. So definitely we're going to have content for all of this target groups.
Look, those numbers go up, but I'm also happy with the 20-25% that you saw at the bottom. So hey guys, you need to do a good job now to get a good and proper introduction.
Let's try.
Good. That's also the plan.
That's right.
So I will stop. I will give the word to you, Felipe, for the first introduction.
Okay, thanks, Peter. Then let's start with a quick introduction, especially for the ones that don't know yet BVMS. So BVMS stands for Bosch Video Management System. It's really a full, let's say, video management system to manage your video and data. So it is not a new software. So we're already selling BVMS since 2007. And we have installations, thousands of installations across the globe. So we have BVMS in different versions. So you start with the BVMS viewer, which is more a viewer to connect directly to the cameras. But then you start with the BVMS Lite that goes up to 42 cameras. So it's really for small systems. You can have a VMS there. Goes to the Plus that goes up to 256 cameras. Professional, 2,000 of cameras. And the Enterprise is actually a functionality that you can combine different BVMS systems under one umbrella, and then you have, a possibility to work with different sites, but working in one, or let's say, operating center, seeing cameras from different sites. For the Lite and the Plus version, we also have the option to offer not only the software itself, but an appliance, which means, let's say, that you can buy BVMS as a software and install in your server, in your workstation, or as well as an appliance that comes all together ready to go. So we will also talk about the DVR-IPs all-in-one in the end of this session still, so I'm going to give you more details about that. So we have in the Lite and the Plus version.
And Felipe, you show different versions, but I assume that if you decide for the one or the other version, you can always upgrade. It's not that you are stuck to your choice.
Exactly, and you can mix between them. So you can have an enterprise system maybe with 10 Lite and Plus, let's say 20 Plus, so you can mix between those.
Full flexibility.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Also super scalable, right? You can start small, and then while you, let's say, your system, your business is growing, you can as well grow, including more and more units in that system.
Good.
We work with BVMS, we have installations in all kinds of verticals, but our focus verticals is the government buildings, financial institutions, critical infrastructure, warehouse, manufacturing plants. So there we see that BVMS, let's say, benefits really makes a difference. So this is a little bit quick introduction about the BVMS, especially for the ones that don't know it. But what else? Why BVMS? So here we also brought some interesting lesson points that we see really that BVMS can bring benefits to you customers. So extreme resilient solution, high, let's say, efficiency in the operation. It is really also bring a lot of nice tools to make the investigations really quick, and it's really coming with all needed to appropriate, let's say, response that you can react quickly in case of events. And of course, it's complete, looking also on data secure, having all the measures needed for data security.
And Felipe, let me ask one question in between, because the previous slide you showed a couple of industries, and you said that's what we want to focus on, but is it also not that these industries have proven themselves, so those are actually also based on already installed installations?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, it's also installed based. We of course have in many different verticals. It's not limited to that, but these are, let's say, the ones that we see more focus and where we see the solution.
So BVMS already proved its functionality in these industries.
Definitely.
Okay.
Then let's start with the resilience, let's say, story. So to explain what is that extreme resilient topic about, I would like first to show you which are, let's say, the components of our solution. They're a little bit different from most of the VMS in the market. So, of course, you start with your cameras and a client, but then we have the management server and the video record manager there are the servers actually managing all the system, but not really actually receiving live or camera streams on that, let's say, server. And then, of course, we have the storage. In our case, we're using iSCSI protocol, means that the camera can directly talk with the iSCSI without really need to go via a specific server or NVR. Well, with that, we can actually use the solution basically even in a situation of, we call it here, disaster scenario. So let's imagine, for instance, if we lose that component, the management server. Well, what happens then? Well, if it's really the case, actually your live view, your PTZ control, playback, all those things, they will stay working. So the core components, they stay working. So which is really nice, even it's maybe not a big failure, but you just, let's say, need to restart that server. You don't need to stop the operation for that. So you can keep, let's say, working with the main features. The same, for example, for the storage. So if you maybe have that camera there, once the camera stream goes from the camera to the storage, then the recording will also stay. In case maybe the primary storage is failing, well, in that case, the solution also is capable that the cameras actually go to the secondary storage to make sure that your recording will not stop. So this failover, it's completely included in the solution. it is also even happening automatically. But what yeah, in this case, I think it's kind of a complete disaster, really, scenario, Peter. But then if the camera network is down, well, even there, yeah, if you combine the solution with SD cards in the camera, so inside of the camera, so even there, you can stay, let's say, recording in the camera, and once the connection is back with the storage, so that video that was then internally in the SD card is then transferred to the storage. So we call it that ANR, Automatic Network Replenishment. And it's a complete, again, feature included in the channel. There is no additional, let's say, license needed for this feature. And this actually prevents, of course, that you lose, let's say, data while having different situations in your system.
And two things for me that pop to mind is that, first of all, are we unique in this with this disaster scenario?
Yeah, I think so. It's difficult to say because there are so many VMS in the market, but I think most of VMS, they use a different, let's say, concept while, let's say, recording. So that's quite of a unique feature.
And it's great that you stress the possibility with the SD card, but yeah, you also have some customers that say, yeah, but you know, SD cards, although they are industry grade, etc., there are maybe also some reasons not to use them. And then?
And then, well, right on time. So for the next, let's say, point, when we see most of the VMS in the market, they use most probably NVR, network video recorder to record. And any kind of network interruptions, if the camera cannot communicate with the NVR, this will result in loss of data. So you maybe could lose some seconds of evidence, right? And then this is maybe a possible issue later. With the BVMS, let's say, concept, we have an interesting thing. So in case we have a disconnection, and now I'm talking about a camera without any SD card on it, so just the Bosch camera there. So the camera starts to actually buffer the video and the data in the RAM. So it means even without the communication, the camera will not lose immediately that data. And once the connection is back, then you see that the data is then transferred to the storage. So it is, of course, not that going to work for minutes and hours, but at least you let's say, prevent that some seconds if you maybe need to repatch your switch. This might not result really in loss of data.
And sometimes that might be really critical, right?
Exactly. So that's more or less how it works in case we don't have the SD card there. But if you need, of course, I want really this works for hours, then the recommendation is definitely use the SD card in the camera.
Oh, that's great.
I'm pretty sure not everyone knows that, so even for experienced
Exactly, maybe even the guys that knows BVMS, maybe this is, and it's complete working automatic, no need for configuration. I think it's just working out of.
But this is great. You know, we talked about resilience. That was one of your first points that we started with a couple of slides back. But we also said something about operator efficiency, and I believe, Maciej, there is something also to say there.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to discuss each and every feature that BVMS offers.
That's a pity, Maybe we should make it longer,
Yes.
A longer breakfast.
So let's focus maybe on the key points, and one of those would be the map-based tracking assistant, the feature that we introduced relatively recently. What it does, the full focus in here is really to make it easier for the operator. So whenever he wants to track person, object of interest, we generally make it easier. So BVMS lets you to quickly switch between the cameras where the subject might be moving. So the feature is combination of map that you are using. Then on the map you can clearly see the cameras that are looking there.
So basically, I have to imagine myself as a sort of Google map where I see basically a dot which identifies the object, and I can easily follow it.
Yes, you have a map. You have all the cameras visible in there. From the map, you can operate it, but you also have a view of cameras, and then you have the main camera when the point of interest is at the moment. And BVMS would also automatically, that's the beauty of this feature, it will automatically give you the surrounding cameras, so you don't need to think which one is the next one, you know.
Oh, that's
it really goes automatically. In the video we can also show how it works in practice. So there is this short video that will explain that. So this is the camera. This is the map on the left-hand side.
It's
Then
going
it
to
doesn't
start in a second.
Yeah, that's, you know, it's live TV, yeah, so...
Yeah, it's live TV. Wait a bit, it's going to
Exactly.
start. It's just maybe this initial delay. I hope it's going to start.
And otherwise...
Oh,
Yeah, it's now
exactly,
going.
now...
See?
Yeah, they...
Need to be patient.
Or it doesn't. Okay, then maybe let me...
Yeah, for some reason, yeah, you know, that
okay.
always
We have some
always
technical
happens.
issues as
Always
usual.
happens in a live situation, guys, so yeah, this could
It is
happen.
working. I think it's moving or it's not.
No. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway,
Anyhow, Normally it works.
Now it works, the video.
it's only video. So we have a map. From
Oh,
the map
no,
we can
now I
control
think-
the...
Now it's
There we
working.
go.
okay,
Alright.
good.
Hey.
We have PTZ camera, for example. Here we can see the view of the camera. We can also control PTZ, which is quite nice. So if you just double-click on the map, you would like to really focus on one place, you can easily do that from the map, and you can see that camera is moving. Then in this video, we will have a sample scenario where someone triggers the intrusion alarm. So we have a person that is trying to enter the building where he shouldn't be. Right now, the alarm is raised.
Full.
Yes, we have a full information to the operator, and then he can switch on this map-based tracking assistant, so it switches the mode. So this is how this mode looks like. As mentioned, it's a combination of map and cameras. The map will show you where are we, where is the focus right now, and then all the cameras will be visible. So on the right-hand side, you will see the cameras with corresponding names A, B, C, D. And on the map, it's also clearly visible which are the surrounding cameras.
Yeah, and basically, because you have the map, so that's the orientation, and the camera knows then in which direction the person is moving or the object is moving, then it also knows which based on the positioning of the camera, which camera to take next or which one to advise.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Also, in combination with PTZ cameras, it works pretty nicely. So if I switch to the active camera, also the surrounding PTZ cameras will automatically move into this. So it's really focused on tracking specific object with any means that are available there in BVMS.
It's also nice that works also on the playback, right? So
Absolutely.
not only live that you can track people during the trying to follow someone, but also helps during the investigation. Make it easier to know which camera maybe that person you're following it's going to.
So that you basically have a sort of evidence trail, you could say. That you have a little bit the idea of where did people go, and also again making lives easier.
Even in a lot of people walking together, you can easily follow that guy, right?
Yeah.
Because it's really normally a big challenge for operation.
Yeah, I would say one of the main challenges, especially for bigger systems. So it really helps in here. But of course, next to that, speaking of features that makes it easier to use BVMS, we are also using intelligence, of course. So Bosch is well known for intelligent analytics we are using, especially in our cameras. And basically, BVMS is able to really utilize it, really make a good use of it. Generally, video stream and metadata stream that we are receiving next to it containing analytics metadata is consumed. It could be used for two main features. Firstly, of course, for live alarming. So the IVA alarm can automatically trigger some reactions. But what is also quite interesting, we can store metadata. We can later on use it for forensic search. So again, really improving the investigation of what happened in an easy way. And just to quickly explain, what is it about? We are storing metadata next to the recordings. You can use that for a quick search. So you just select the timeline you would like to search. You select the camera. You can define your own criteria or use the pre-configured ones. And then in just a couple of seconds, you can really search the big amount of videos for specific events. For example, when specific person was crossing the line, entering the building, or when the car was entering the parking lot.
And in essence, you are searching the metadata. You're not searching the video footage, so that's also probably way quicker. That's
way quicker, really. In just a couple of seconds, typically, it will let you search through minutes of video, and in just a couple of minutes, really hours. So it really makes it much faster to look for specific.
And if I understand it correctly, you can also basically do it in whatever way you want afterwards. It's not depending on how you set up the system up front. So the alerts that you can always, let's say, search your video data in whatever way you think is best to find the right evidence.
Yes, absolutely, that's correct. So we have those metadata. For us, is later on to choose the criteria. You can always change that later on, depending on what we are looking for.
I see already an interesting question coming in, but that's actually
Good.
related to map-based tracking.
Good.
They are already, or let's say our audience is already asking themselves the question, is BVMS also, or if we are with the map-based tracking, also going to consider camera handoff?
Meaning automatic camera handover.
That is what I...
Because
what I
handover
understand
is
from the
right now
question.
possible,
Yeah.
but this is still semi-automatic, I would say. So it's easier, but you still need to do that. I believe the question was about automatic handover with, for example, IVA. Yes, that's something we consider. That's something that is on the roadmap of BVMS.
So there, then basically stay tuned, because it's something in the planning. So that's already good news.
Yes, absolutely. Okay.
So I think that is basically, but that's what we have in store today. Yeah? So this is something, so the map-based tracking, you already said it, it's already introduced. The forensic search, I think that's already going way back. Yeah? So I think there we have also built our experience over the last couple of years as Bosch. But that's what people can already get today. But what are they getting tomorrow? Because you are introducing a new version.
Yes, absolutely. So let's a bit discuss on what is coming pretty soon to BVMS. So the next release of BVMS BVMS will be BVMS 12.0, which is scheduled for March. So really in a month from now. It's around the corner. Yes, that's why.
Next week Wednesday, or okay, no, in March.
A bit more.
Yeah, okay.
Rather second half of March, but yes, it's coming pretty soon, and we are actually ready to tell you what is coming, and actually we will also have a chance to even show you how it works. So the main highlights, the main features that are coming with BVMS 12.0 package, I would say, the first one is privacy overlay. So this is really something to anonymize the data, to remove the sensitive personal data from the video. But on this, we will focus a little bit.
You're going to show, right?
I will show that.
Okay.
Yes, I will explain a bit more, because I think this is quite interesting and worth explaining. The second one is something we call dynamic threat level management. In essence, it means that in BVMS, it will be possible to automatically change the system behavior depending on the status, depending on the alarm. It will automatically change the user rights. So for example, can enable some new areas for user, disable some cameras if needed. So you are really free to configure it. And basically with this feature, it will be super easy based on user permissions. And last but not least, here one small remark. This is coming a bit later than BVMS 12.0. So we already planned just 3 months later to have this additional intermediate release that will bring this feature. But I think it's also worth mentioning the configuration audit trail feature, which is coming mid of this year. And this is basically to store all the configuration changes that you are doing in BVMS for audit trail purposes, and also to quickly see who, when, changed something that actually for a security system might really have a big impact, and it's quite critical. So I think it's also very, very good improvement.
Makes sense.
Speaking of privacy overlay, as
yes,
feature we will a bit focus on today, what are the challenges? So challenges that we see that more and more data privacy regulations are affecting video surveillance. So GDPR was the first step, but right now we see it really gets tightened more and more, also on a global level in different areas as well. And to be fair, it also kind of limits the applicability of video surveillance. So we need to find the right balance, you know, to
security
be secure, consider data privacy, but also, of course, secure the building. So make sure that we know what's going on there. That's the main challenge, I would say. For regular security operators, typically they might not need to see the person, identify the person, so they need to know what's going on there, but maybe it's not necessary for them to really identify the person. But what we would also like to achieve is to make sure that still the original footage is available for investigation later, for example, by legal enforcement if needed. Yeah,
so actually what you're saying, to strike a good balance between not intruding someone's privacy if not necessary, and of course elevating security, because we are talking about a security system, and also looking at the people that work with the system, that you make that nice balance of need to know basis only. So some people will be allowed to see things, some other people will not be allowed to see things. But at the end of the day, if we are really looking for evidence, we also need to, of course, be sure that we can let's say, take this privacy overlay off, because otherwise you still do not get the information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And one more thing, sometimes it's really occasional. So we really see some specific point of time or a period of time when we would like to enhance the privacy level. For example, when there is a VIP, visiting your building, you would like to make sure that it doesn't leak.
Exactly.
And actually, in combination with dynamic threat level management, I've mentioned, it makes a really, really great match.
So that is something that you could then also configure in the threat management. So that
Correct.
you say, okay, that could be one of the scenarios then.
Correct. One of the scenarios is that we only enable this this privacy overlay in case of specific scenario.
Oh, that's interesting.
So generally, what we are doing in BVMS is we are dynamically removing this personal data from the video footage, using AI models, using intelligent features within BVMS. We see that someone is here, we see that someone is going around, but we are not able to identify this person anymore. So it still gives you situational awareness, but it also enhances the data privacy level, so to say. And I think the very nice thing is that it's fully configurable on the user permission level. So depending if it's security operator or if it's really the legal enforcement or really the system administrator that might need to look behind the masks, you can actually do that easily in BVMS. So it's fully configurable on which privacy level should be applied.
So now you are really raising curiosity here. So now we want to show to see the real deal.
Absolutely, we are ready for that. So let's try to see how it works. So this is how it works in practice. We have our camera installed in here in the studio.
Hello,
and it's
everybody.
enabled.
Oh yeah, we should move a little bit,
because it's
okay.
We are live. We are here. That's how it should look like. So please do not tune your monitor. Do not restart the browser. That's intended. So we want to really get rid of the personal data. So you see that someone is there, but you probably cannot identify us anymore. Right now.
So Martin, what you're saying, nothing is going wrong with the live stream now. So
No.
this may be poor quality, because if I would be Netflixing now, then I would think, oh my God, what happens here? But this is how it's supposed to be. Okay.
This is how it's supposed to be. Yes. So this is really based on the live footage, based on the live camera in here.
I'm happy that we still see the croissants. Then at least we have some food left over still. But I can still see you guys, so it's not blurred for me here. But I think for the audience out there, yes.
Yes. I think what is also worth mentioning in here, we are rather standing still, and this is also the beauty of technology. We are using AI technology, so we are really using person detector, which is not motion-based. But it really learns the scene. It learns the scene, how the person looks like. So even if we are standing still, we are not moving at all. You could still see the masks that are there. So
because what you're actually saying to me is that actually it's more challenging to have an object that stands still than an object that is
complete static. You normally part of the background, and then if it's just based on motion, then the blur will go away.
Actually, I must be now pretty amazed by all these pixels. I should not judge the quality, but more the intelligence that I'm standing still. And
in March you can buy this solution, and then you can use it. That's no
You're
problem.
already selling it, Philippe.
Yeah, of course.
Indeed. So that's how it looks like. Maybe also worth mentioning. So this is happening within BVMS, really inside BVMS operator client. So actually you can use more or less any camera, maybe not really the very oldest ones, but generally the standard H.264, H.265 camera. Even without special AI enabled in the camera as such, you can actually use that. So we are really using the video stream, and then this processing, this analyzing of video is really happening in BVMS.
So basically what you're saying is that this is ideal and also for certain legacy systems that you do not, let's say, need to change your cameras or whatsoever. It's basically something, it's AI that is actually being brought by BVMS. So
yes,
the cameras that would connect to BVMS can be blurred in this way.
That's correct. That's really nice part of it, that you don't necessarily need to exchange the cameras. Of course, the camera resolution, image quality also might make a difference, especially for challenging scenes. But generally, we can use
of course. But that's always, of course, because what the camera doesn't see, then it's also hard for the AI to see it.
Right.
At the end of the day.
For the operation, also you see the benefits. For the operator, he still can identify, hey, this person with a white T-shirt, but he cannot recognize who is that. So that's really interesting. Also, if you need to work like that, you can give guidelines. Hey, look, the suspect is using a white T-shirt, that details, but you don't know who is behind it. So it's,
because you're saying
still enables the operation,
the
right?
color details are still there.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting to look at. Yeah.
And also works for playback and export.
Yes, that's something I wanted to mention as well. So in here we also, of course, see the live video, so you can see us moving, but it works exactly the same way for the playback. So for the playback, when you are playing back the video, also those masks will be applied. And again, the very important part of it is that it's based on user permissions. For example, some users will see those masks, but if for any reason we want to keep some users without those masks, that's fully possible and fully configurable on BVMS level.
Yeah, I was looking in the meantime to the screen here, Maciej, because I think you triggered something, not only with your pixels, but also now here questions coming in.
Good.
Because, but I think partially we already answered it. So can we use the privacy anonymous with all the Bosch models? So I think you already answered that. Maybe there are some, maybe older models that...
There are some exceptions. So for example, we are not supporting really the oldest, for example, JPEG cameras.
Exactly.
So really very, very old ones. So we generally focus on H.264 and H.265, but any camera that is capable to stream at least with H.264 would be supported.
Exactly. Included third-party cameras as well.
That was the second part of the question, so you already anticipated that.
Okay.
That was, so
my power to predict.
Yeah, exactly, you already got it. That's great to hear. And I think that's a question that goes in line. So is it only for live HD streams, or can it also be applied to SD streams? I think you also touched on that already.
Yes, so also lower resolution stream SD could work perfectly.
But what you said, sometimes it can be, if the resolution is too low, then it could be, of course, also impacting the quality then.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay, and then that's funny, because I think with our AI, we did quite a job to recognize the person, but here there comes a question, would it also be an option to only mask the face?
That's something we consider for future. So right now, I mean, it really depends on the detector we are using. In BVMS 12, we are using person detector, so the whole person will be anonymized. But for the future, in probably one of the next versions, yes, that's something we consider to use different detector for face only. Yes.
But you already said it.
But not yet.
You already now see, and we can still look at the screen. We see color details already, so it's not that you are completely blind in that respect. But okay, we also understand the question that maybe next time it's only the face, and we see the rest more clearly. Basically, there was also a question about recording, but I think you also touched on that in the sense of, okay, does this also impact the recording? And I think it is. And it isn't.
It isn't. It isn't actually. So recorded video is stored unprocessed without the mask. We can maybe go back to the slide for a moment, and this explains the difference. Because actually, we see on the market two, let's say, possible approaches. So one is camera-based, so when it happens really inside the camera, and also for some of the Bosch models, it's also possible to do that already on the edge in the camera. But then typically, the video is already processed in the camera, so it's also stored this way. Which might be good for some cases, but in some cases, if you would like to still see without those masks, you might actually need to record two streams in parallel, you know, to have this way to see to
always
both.
uncover afterwards.
Right, and that would be, I would say, the big disadvantage of camera-based
double storage consumption, right? If you need to record it twice, then it's double.
Exactly.
Then it's of course more cost.
And then of course you also need to have a capable camera to do that. In our case, in BVMS, just to explain again, we are doing that in the client application, so we do not touch the stream. The stream is also stored unprocessed, so without the mask, and the mask is only applied also for the playback when video is really displayed in the operator client.
Yeah, okay, so basically what you say, the recording in itself is stored without privacy overlay, but the persons that would be allowed to look at the recording, probably also depending on their authorization rights, they will see it with or without the privacy overlay. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is fully correct, yes. And we are only storing the single stream without a mask, and then we are modifying it depending on the needs on
Is it also possible to have the recording stored with the privacy overlay?
That would be, again, coming back to the camera. So BVMS is not
So basically,
if you need to do that, you can do that on a camera.
So in this case, we have a full flexible system in the sense of, okay, we know that recording, that's basically the clean video. And then indeed, when watching, the privacy overlay is applied or not. Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Just video.
Another video.
Hope this one works.
This one works. Another video just to sum up a little bit. So yes, it's compatible. I think we've mentioned that it's compatible with most of the Bosch models, at least the recent ones, and also third-party cameras. We actually do not require any special hardware, any additional server for this. So it's also pretty straightforward, also for existing installations, but also for new installations. Generally, we are using workstation for this. So one thing you might need to consider is really the capable workstation with sufficient GPU power. And basically, then they are good. Then you're good.
Yeah.
But I also want to underline the last point in here. So it really requires to think on the right placement of the camera, on proper lighting conditions. You know, the better image quality, the bigger the chances that detector works fully right.
And I saw one basically one question just popping by where I thought, okay, our audience wants to take us a little bit a notch up in that sense. Are we willing to do the challenge that we do some movement here behind the desk to show what our algorithm still can do?
Yeah,
because they are now really challenging us. So I think you already, let's say, get them excited. So maybe we can switch back to the view of the camera again.
Okay.
To see
You're gonna do a workout or something?
No, I'm not. No, because I leave it to you guys. So people want to see some movement. So go a little bit to the left and the right. So
is it really us?
Yeah.
We're here. We don't have much space here.
We are live. You can see it.
So as you can see, there is some movement, and the algorithm
I won't dance,
still.
sorry.
No, I think you promised that, was it? Okay, but no, I think it's time to continue. But as you can see, also to the audience out there, also when there is movement, the algorithm, the AI algorithm, still catches the fact that there is a person. So I think, hey, that's an interesting feature.
Good. I hope it's interesting. Then we might have a
exactly because now what we want to learn from our audience basically is that if you look at privacy overlay, we would actually be interested, and you will see the question already on the screen. We would like to know the information. Where do you think it's most likely being adapted? So which type of industries? So also here we would like to see your votes again, and that's already. Also a nice mixture here, I see. Let's see if we can go up to the same number that we had before, because there we were around 130 people voting. But hey, we're still going up. Also a little bit, I think if we already look at the results now coming in, maybe also a little bit the obvious places, government, public buildings, I think that's also where GDPR and also privacy plays a role. Hospitals, because there I can also imagine that sometimes people are in certain positions or situations that you do not want to invade their privacy.
But we also see that it's mixed, right? So we also don't see really clear area where it's only applied. So I think it's also interesting to see that it can be used for very, very different, very various solutions.
Hey, it is, you know, that we are already now at 140. So is this a surprise if you now look at it?
No, I wouldn't say so. So we believe that there is really different areas, different type of customers looking for those solutions, and we see that on the market. So
and the good thing is it doesn't matter because the privacy overlay works. Doesn't matter which industry you take.
Correct.
Okay, thanks for let's say giving us your votes. Then I think there are some other things to talk about. So Philippe.
That's true. Then let's go for. Additional part, I just quick mention to you guys, BVMS, you can have it as a software, but you can also have it in an appliance version. So this is the Diva IP all-in-one solution, and we have mainly in 3 versions. So we have the Diva IP all-in-one 4000, the 6000, and the 7000. We have the 2 options, the 2U and the 3U. So this unit comes with BVMS on it. It's ready to go, so you can do your recordings, you can manage your video footage, and you can also connect and see the live and playback in the unit, or as well connect and have a client in another place in your site. So the 4000, it is really then going for small systems up to 32 channels, the 6000 up to 64 channels, and the 7000 up to 256 channels. And then we have different capacities. So for example, the 4000 up to 36, and the biggest unit almost 200 terabytes. So and also the RAID option, it's on the rack mounted, let's say, units. It comes with BVMS and all those nice features that we're talking about. So that's also what makes really this solution.
The forensics and the map base.
Forensics,
and
exactly,
the
privacy overlays, all those
there.
things. So even the small unit, you also see it like that. So it's really what I want to highlight. A DiverIP 4000 that you guys see here, it is, let's say, yeah, it's small box, but it's still a powerful box because it comes with BVMS and all those features. So it starts with 8 channels, complete free of charge coming with the box, but you can go up to 32.
Yeah.
And you have different options. You can buy it like with 8 terabytes only, or maybe 36 terabyte. And if you need more storage, you can buy another box and connect to the network and add that additional box as extension, a storage extension
Only
from
as a
the
storage.
main
Yeah,
one. So you actually can go even further than 36 terabytes. So,
But it's also nice, you can also combine, so connect, if you want to make a bigger system out of
exactly.
multiple
So you can have 1 unit of that or 20 units of that, and plus the 7,000 and plus a BVMS profession.
Yeah.
And under BVMS Enterprise, you can have all as a one system. So then you can monitor maybe one interface cameras from different sites.
Yeah.
So it's super easy to make it scalable, and for mute-site projects, definitely a good fit.
Yeah.
So it's really low noise Hadoop. Let's say it's not really make a lot of noise. So even if you don't have a nice space, because normally, you know, small projects, small sites, you don't have maybe a big IT room to include the unit. It does not make a lot of noise. And it's 5 years warranty right out of the box. So any kind of problems, even the hard disk, it will be covered by the warranty for 5 years. And yeah, you can definitely combine with some really Bosch nice cameras like this FlexDome 5100i. So if you were in the last, let's say, breakfast session, you saw this really beautiful camera, nice with a lot of, yeah, that's the new one that releases some.
Which you also use for the demo or not?
Yeah, that's not the same
not the
one.
same one?
Yeah, not the same one, but could work as well.
Yeah.
So the deeps and as well privacy overlay works with the new Bosch cameras and as well with the old ones, as Machi was mentioned. And you can also add this one in the DiverIPs as well, 30-part cameras if necessary.
And a question to the 4000 series of the DIP, is it supporting RAID 1?
No, in this case, it's not supporting RAID 1. If you really go for, yeah, it's somehow supporting software. Let's say it's not coming with hardware. Let's say RAID protection. You cannot do it there. You can do it some level of protection, but if you really want to make sure you're not going to lose records in case you have a drive failing, then the best option is to go to the 6000.
Oh, so that's a nice question then to put to the 64 or
I think you were
6000.
predicting that.
No, I was not predicting in this case. It was our audience, but yeah.
So then the 6000, so you then have one unit that you can, that's not that big, but still then you start with 8 channels again, and you can go up to 64 channels. And also the different options for storage, you go up to 72. And again, if you want to have other units connected to the network, you can add those units as a storage expansion. And it then comes with the RAID 5 and RAID 6. Then it's really the best option. Why? Because even if you have one hard disk failing, you're not going to lose any video data there. So 5 years warranty, like the other unit. So really 2 really nice units that we just released it. In case you don't know it, it's just released it like beginning of February.
There are some additional questions, but let's save them to the end, because I think there is also there are some other things that you want to talk about. I believe also something that is related to the proper management or remote management of these devices. So maybe that's good to dive into that.
That's correct. So this is about the remote system management. So this DiverIP unit and the 6000, the 7000, now we're also going to release a new service option for the units that's coming also in March, where you can, once you do the commission, you connect your units, you make them work, and then from there you can do a lot of things from remote. And this is really helping in making easier with less cost, let's say, the maintenance of all those units. So let's look what is that about. So once you connect the cameras to the DIP, you can then create your remote portal account. If maybe you already know remote portal, and then the DIP will be then connected to the remote portal account. and then to remote portal, then you can start to use the service.
Yeah.
And then you can see the health monitoring, you can do the inventory management, you can even do updates of patches of BVMS if we release it later. So then you can do most of the things from remote and without really the need to go on site. And this means less, let's say, trips to site, less cost on maintaining, and of course, less CO2 emissions. So this is really some of the benefits behind this, let's say, service. And what you can do, as I mentioned, inventory management, update management, and health monitoring. To make it more visual, I brought a virtual environment here.
Some gifts?
Yeah, no, it's
again,
just,
again a demo.
I'm gonna try to make another demo here. We're gonna try to make another demo here.
So now
I
you
hope
want to see the screen of the laptop.
Exactly. I hope
there it is.
you're seeing this also as well on your side. So once you connect the deep, that's how you see it. And then inside of remote portal, you see already one unit here. But of course, if you have multiple.
So it proves that we are now live in Eindhoven or not?
Well, this one is a virtual environment.
Okay.
We're still going to release it in March. So it's a virtual environment, guys, but will work, of course, like the same. You're seeing here. So you should see, let's say, different options. And then, of course, you really can see how is the connectivity here. And if there is any issues with the unit, and if all the services are up and running, and if maybe there are latest firmware for the cameras, and for the, let's say, the software components inside. So that's also something interesting. It is not only the deep itself, but also the cameras that are added to that deep. You can also update the firmware from those cameras. So it's super.
So basically, here in this line, it tells you in the column of updates that not only maybe the DVR itself needs to have an update, but also the cameras connected to it.
Some cameras, yes. That's
but
why.
Can you see that detail?
Exactly. That's why we need to click it here. Then we go to the details. So you see the unit, the DVR itself, and you see that there are some updates missing. So if I see the installed package here, you see that we have some of them like green, but some of them, they need to be updated. There is a new version already available in the cloud, and then you can decide to update it. So not gonna do that now. And you see also the list of cameras. Some of the cameras, you see that there's some issues. For example, we see here that the recording is off. It's a virtual environment. We're not enabled the recording, but in a real situation, you might have some cameras working and some not. And you see as well that the cameras need update. And if you need to update the firmware of those cameras, let's imagine we're going to update the firmware for those 3 cameras here. You select here Update, select the platform, the firmware you want, and then you click Update. And then in the background, the system will start to update the firmware of those cameras while you can stay, let's say, working with the remote system management.
You can do that for all the cameras at once, right?
You can do for all the cameras. Actually, you can do for all the components and click, and then we'll go for all these devices. And the same for the unit. If we click in the unit, not only, let's say, the basic, let's say, overview, which is, let's say, working or not, but even the details in the hardware of the DIP. For example, you see how is the fan here, how is the maybe the temperatures, or if there is a disk failing, so everything it is visible here. And you can configure as well that you receive alerts in case maybe you have something wrong, or maybe in case it is disconnected. And then you can receive that in proactive check what's going on with that.
And in principle, those announcements or those notifications is actually for everything, also for updates. So basically everything.
Exactly. Well, I think when we talk about updates, why this is more and more important, of course, guys, cybersecurity is a big topic. And the latest versions for firmware, for software, it's normally they are the more secure one. So keeping your systems updated is also make sure that you're keeping them secure. And with that, let's say, kind of service, you also can make these updates much easier. You don't need to go and travel to the site, maybe drive 2 hours and go there with a USB stick and update that patch for BVMS. Now you can do it complete for remote.
We already have a remote device management option. So now you're talking about remote system management. There is, I think, there is an explainable difference. So can you maybe say a little bit more about that?
Well, it is, if you have cameras, you can connect them directly to remote portal. Then it's device management, and you can do similar things. But if you have that same cameras, but they are connected to a diva IP, you now can actually use via the DIP. You don't need to add those cameras to remote portal. Only the DIP will be then connected to the internet, of course, in a secure way. We always create a secure connection between your device, your unit, and the cloud. And then from there, you can start to use the service. So you can update the firmware of the camera. You can also receive alerts if the camera is maybe, if the recording, for example, stop it.
So basically what you're saying, you are typically installing a system like you would normally do. So you connect your cameras to your DVAR, and then you only have to connect only once the DVAR to the cloud. Instead of, let's say, if you have 50 cameras, you would do that 50 times.
Exactly. So also save some time there. There is also inventory, let's say, reports. So if you want to make a report out of the what you have in that, let's say, account, and then you see it easily in an Excel file, you can export that later. Which unit it is, which components are there, and which version, so which cameras and which version they are. So also helps, you know, to inventory, let's say, stuff, to keep control of all your units, especially if you have a lot of sites. That will definitely help a lot.
Even with hundreds DVAR IPs, then it's super easy, right?
Exactly, even with that. Well, and that's a little bit
and already one, or not only one, multiple questions, but one that I want to basically take out here is that, and I believe you already said it, is it accessible in remote portal already as a standard, or do you indeed need a license?
Yeah, if you come with it comes with the unit, you can use it for 30 days right out of the box. And then after that, there is a service license that you need to purchase to then keep using the service.
Okay, understood.
And just to make a summary, so to each units, we will release this option. So we plan to release it in March, and it's released together with, we call it system management. It's just a service that's actually installed in the DIP, and that service is actually able to connect to remote portal. And this will be available for the DIP 4000, the DVAR IP, only one 4000, 6000, and the 7000, the latest version, which we call it, let's say, DIP /7.3, or it's the latest, let's say, generation.
So not only the new ones you've presented, but also some
as well the 7000 existing one. And we also plan to extend that to other units. Maybe if you have a DIP 5.2, the 5000, we also plan to release the service for
that. That's not now the case, so that will not happen in March yet.
Not in March, still during the year.
But the good news is that you do not need to throw away, let's say, older versions, or basically
we will enable it as well for older units. Well, with that said, Peter, I think we're done with our content.
It's about that time that we now have to look at those Q&As. So again, thanks for sending in your questions, and keep them coming, because we still have some minutes left to dive into some of the questions, and they are coming in. So guys, I give it a go, and let's see how far we come. So first of all, I think it's an interesting one. Could you please mention something about BVMS and the integration with our upcoming IP loudspeaker, so this IP horn loudspeaker? Is there already something to say?
There is something to say, yes. So that's actually technically available right now. So right now you can connect the IP loudspeaker to BVMS, meaning what you can actually do, you can trigger the messages that are stored in the loudspeaker directly from BVMS. So if you are having BVMS event coming from any device, any connected system, or BVMS itself, you can actually trigger the message directly in the horn speaker, which is actually available and tested already.
That's good news. So also something extra to look forward to.
Absolutely.
Another question is that's related to the DVAR IP 4000. So I'm now looking at you, Philippe, because you were talking about this nice small device. But powerful. Does the dynamic blurring also work with the DVAR IP 4000 if used as a client?
Okay, in this case it will not work, because to really work you need a decent, let's say, GPU graphic card, as Maciej was explaining. So you still can use it as, let's say, your management server, recording engine, but then you need to have a dedicated, let's say, workstation with GPU, and then you can do the privacy overlay.
Exactly. So what we do say is that you need a good amount of power, computation power, in order to make this happen.
Indeed.
Yeah, hey, the questions are coming in, guys. So I'm continuing.
Let's
so
go for it.
do you have to calibrate the camera? I think this is someone that already knows us a little bit better. So do you have to calibrate the camera 3D tracking before privacy overlay can work?
That's a very good question, and the answer is no. So the configuration is super simple, and it's also using the pre-configured detector. So in the same way, like for the latest camera models, using our IVA Pro packages, actually you don't need to do any kind of calibration because it really uses the detectors or models that were learned before. So actually what you need to do in BVMS to enable this feature, you really need to just, turn it on and set the user permissions, and that's it. There is no special calibration.
Good news, eh? So
absolutely.
Less work.
From the configuration perspective, it's very straightforward, actually.
Related to that, so let's continue on that, Maciej, is it also possible to use this privacy overlay that we have been showing in combination with IR?
Yes, it is possible because I try it. Yeah, it's possible. So it also works with cameras with IR illumination.
And then, now that we're anyway talking about cameras, so now we go more a little bit in the camera atmosphere, is that the question here is, it can also a PTZ camera be used and in combination with these privacy masks?
Yes.
Generally, yes. Of course, for PTZ, it's a bit challenging, especially when the camera is moving. So it might be that if camera is moving fast, but on the other hand, if it's moving, then it's also hard to typically identify the person. So if the camera is standing still, yes, of course, it will be working perfectly fine.
There is also an interesting question that I just saw here with regards to license plate. So basically, we are now talking about privacy overlay to basically blur people. But is there any plan to maybe also have an AI algorithm within BVMS or somewhere else to maybe blur vehicles, or more specifically license plates?
Actually, not for now. So we are still using either existing integrations with license plate recognition providers, or we are also, let's say, still looking into possibility to do that within the Bosch camera, and then of course it will be integrated to BVMS.
Hey, we also still have something to wish for. That gives us an
still
outlook. So
something to do.
I think this is also an interesting question if I look at it. We just spoke about the remote services, or basically you did that, Felipe. Are the remote services also available for the older versions of BVMS? And then they are very specifically asking here 8, 9, and 10.
No, it's mainly defined for the DIVA IP, let's say unit. So it's enabling the DIVA IP units. The service is then available for the 4,000, 6,000, and 7,000. All of them, let's say, starting with 11.1.1. So for really old units, then we still need to wait a little bit for the next releases, as we plan also to make available the service for the brownfield.
But what we are actually saying, and I think that's an important point to make, is that it's not related to BVMS, it's actually related to DIVAR. So
to the DIVAR,
it's a service that is linked to the DIVAR and not so much to BVMS. Okay. I think the question of the overlay only the face we already had, so that we can skip. So let me see here. Is it possible from the operator client, from BVMS, to control the motorized zoom of a fixed camera?
No, this is not possible. So motorized zoom is intended to be used for configuration purposes and
commissioning, usually, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, from the configuration client, you can open the lens wizard and then you can use it, but not on the operator client. Yeah.
I think this is also an interesting one because you talked about your VIP scenario. So there is now also a question coming in. Will it be possible to choose what particular person will be blurred or will be anonymized in an export?
Yeah, that's something we are looking into. Not yet. I mean, not for BVMS 12.0. So for BVMS 12.0, the algorithm works globally for all the people detected. But that's something that we're looking into, let's say, hopefully for one of the next releases.
Okay. I think we slowly but gradually need to go to the last question. So basically here, the version of BVMS, so this version, so the upcoming version 12, solves the export of video with selectable privacy in some objects and not on others. in a scene with more than one person, one perpetrator, or neutral persons? It's quite a complicated question.
I think that's linked to the previous one,
Exactly,
right? So
yeah.
if you are able to select, yeah, maybe that's worth mentioning again. It's possible to do that for expert, but it's not possible to select specific person only that will be masked.
Yeah, guys, there are still some questions coming in, but let's see how we deal with them later on. Because, yeah, as promised, we try to answer as many questions as possible. In the meantime, we are already at the end of this breakfast session, and we want to start enjoying these croissants.
And it's great that we have so many of those questions, right? So there is definitely
exactly.
a lot of interest.
Let's also
there,
see how we follow that up in also other means of communication that we have. Before we let you go, there will be another poll now on your screen where we would like to ask you for your feedback, how you think of this live stream. So thank you for watching. Thanks to have registered for this. We will stay in touch.
Thanks a lot.
We will follow up and see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.